Hi guys and welcome to another edition of the Gerry channel and the Sean's View Entertainment channel. I am joined by my guest at this time, Sean's View Entertainment. Sean, how are you, sir?
I am doing pretty damn well, and it's a good day when I'm on the General Gerry podcast, the Sean View podcast. We're coming together, and it's almost like we're having the end of the brand splits. The WWE had the brand split, and now we're coming together here, as one. So that's good. It's always good when Sean's View Entertainment is here, and we can express our feelings, our thoughts, and everything else.
Yeah, man, it feels so because obviously this is like the first, we've done these before, but we've done the cross promotion podcast before. It was very successful. A lot of people enjoyed it, and who knows, maybe we'll continue doing it again, But Sean, I need to ask you this. It is the news that the rumors that the Hardy Boys will return to WWE. What's your thoughts on this? Do you think it's going to be? Do you think it'll happen? So what's your thoughts on it?
Well, the Hardy Boys, obviously one of the most charismatic, resilient, one of the greatest tag teams of history. And, when I heard about this a few days ago, and I mean, this is just every day now hearing something new. The rumors, the gossip, the speculation, it's all being reported everywhere. And, I mean, this is the talk of the town. I mean, in my opinion, one of the big foundations of the Attitude Era was the Hardy Boys. They made TLC what it was, and the triangle ladder matches in WrestleMania and SummerSlam, and for Jeff Hardy to come back, knowing that, he's clean, he isn't doing all the things he was doing before. If we get a clean Jeff Hardy who his mind is set and he's on, it's going to be incredible because Jeff Hardy has said he wants to end it in the WWE. He wants his career to end right there. And you know what? I think Jeff Hardy has a good 3 years left at least. And I think it's going to be a hell of a run. And I think Jeff Hardy is going to go, far in the WWE. And obviously, it's going to be awesome and spectacular because the roof is literally going to blow off the arena when Jeff Hardy returns. And if it's as the Hardy Boys, well, then you're talking about a whole nother dynamic, and it's just going to be history making. And I think it's going to bring back a lot of fans that lost contact with the WWE. And I think this is going to do a world of good. And then, of course, you got the Dudley Boys there. So there's rumors already of WrestleMania. They want to attract 100,000 people. The Dudleys versus the Hardys in a TLC match. I think that would be brilliant.
It would be absolutely awesome. The thing is, when I heard this news, whenever I restarted watching WWE, I started rewatching it. It was in 2008, and that was when Jeff Hardy was there. He was a big name at that time, but then obviously, the stuff of him doing drugs and the suspensions, and then he eventually went to TNA. Since he's been in TNA, I was like, oh, I wish he came back to WWE because we all know Jeff Hardy is a major merchandise seller. This guy sells T-shirts, wristbands, like no fucking tomorrow. So What I want to say is I really hope the Hardy Boys come back. It is long overdue. The thing is that, with TNA, the contract, I don't know about that. Could his TNA contract get in the way of him going to WWE?
Well, what I'm reading is it's going to end in February, and he's going to be either. Well, see, the thing is, the rumors is he's going to be at WrestleMania in that match, but his contract ends in TNA in February. There's rumors that how the Raw after WrestleMania is always a return, or they do a major angle. Well, the rumor is he's going to be returning the night after WrestleMania. So, I mean, that would even be huge because then, later on in the year, they could do the TLC match. If it's not at WrestleMania, they'll definitely do it at TLC or maybe even Extreme Rules because WrestleMania is right after Extreme Rules. So, there's definitely a lot of different ways that the WWE can go about this. And like you said, Jeff Hardy, he's like a rock star. Let's call a spade a spade. The guy's like a rock star. The guy comes out and gets a rock-like response. The girls go wild. The guys, they want to emulate him. They want to be like him. They want to fly off the roof. They want to fly off the top rope. And for Jeff Hardy to come back would be amazing. I mean, when I first read it, to tell you the truth, I had my doubts. I was like, oh, there's no way. But then every single day after that, there was rumors, oh, Hardy's coming back. There's talk backstage that Jeff Hardy wants to return. He was brought up on the Stone Cold podcast. So you can see there's a lot of variables that go into this. And I think right now, if I was a betting person, I'd say 75% he's coming back.
Yeah, because that's the thing with the Dudley Boys returning. Because I seen your video, you were saying that WWE are looking at feedback at that to determine whether they want the Hardy Boys there. And listen, the YWC's been a buzz. Everyone is talking about Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy. Will they return? I really do hope he does return because, listen, I am a major Jeff Hardy fan. For anyone who knows me personally, I go on about Jeff Hardy all the time. I think, the very first pay-per-view I ever seen was Royal Rumble 2000, okay? And it was actually free on Channel 4 here in Ireland, okay? And you wouldn't get a pay-per-view for free back then, but Channel 4 basically paid WWE to get the Royal Rumble for free. And guess what? The very first match I seen was the Dudley Boys versus the Hardy Boys, and it was a tables match. And Jeff Hardy jumped from the top of a fire escape on top of the Dudley Boys. It was an amazing match. As soon as I seen that match, I was an instant Hardy Boy fan, and I just hope they come back. It would be amazing.
Well, that was an unforgettable moment because I remember that like it was yesterday. Madison Square Garden, he did a swanton, but that was absolutely extraordinary. And Jeff Hardy really broke down the barriers, and he really set the tone at an all-time high. Make no mistake about it, Jeff Hardy made his mistakes, his wrongdoings, but nobody's perfect. Everybody's done their mistakes. Everyone's done their wrongdoings. Whether it's drugs or whatever else, you clear up your image, you clear up yourself, you come around, you're rejuvenated, you're refreshed. And I think that's exactly what we're getting. And the fact that Jeff Hardy just had a horrific accident where he broke both his legs or one of his legs, and now Jeff Hardy, he's supposed to be back to pretty good shape, physically and emotionally. But like I said, a healthy Jeff Hardy is a great thing, and I just hope that I got to say this. There were certain times when Jeff Hardy was in WWE where the WWE didn't handle him correctly. The WWE, they effed up a lot of things. And the one thing I got to say, though, where I got to give WWE credit is they did make him go on a run as WWE champion. And I thought that was great. When Jeff Hardy won that triple threat match at Armageddon, I think it was, and I mean, that I never in my life imagined Jeff Hardy becoming the WWE champion. So when that happened, I was in awe. I was amazed. Now, I don't think that the run wasn't that long. It should have been a hell of a lot longer than it was. We all know what happened. Matt Hardy turned on Jeff. They did the whole brother versus brother storyline that led into WrestleMania 25, and which, a lot of people said that wasn't a good match. I thought it was a pretty solid match. I mean, yeah, they could have done a little bit better, but I thought the match was still good. But with the Hardy Boys coming back, like you said, I can't go on one internet site or Facebook or Twitter without seeing a mention of Jeff Hardy. He's everywhere. I mean, it's funny because some people said to me, "Oh, Jeff Hardy, he's irrelevant." Well, if Jeff Hardy is so irrelevant, why are people talking about him still? You know what I'm saying?
I completely agree with you because, like, anyone in the YWC, whether they're TNA fans, whether they're WWE or Ring of Honor, everyone is talking about this because they want it so badly to happen. I do remember probably the lowest point whenever I was a Jeff Hardy fan was the Notorious Sting versus Jeff Hardy in TNA. I was very saddened by that when I seen it, and I believe it was the third pay-per-view review I ever did. It was only whenever I started getting into the YWC. And I think the video was actually on my channel. I'm trying to remember. Was it on that or the Gerry Blog TV?
I'll tell you what, right now, as it concerns that whole debacle, what happened with Jeff Hardy, that was absolutely ridiculous. I don't even know how TNA had Jeff Hardy go out there. They could have run an injury angle. There's a variety of storylines they could have made up for Jeff Hardy not being there that night. Let's call a spade a spade. There were so many things that could have been done. To have Jeff Hardy go out there was insane. I mean, I'm not placing all the blame on TNA because Jeff Hardy should have never been under those circumstances. But at the end of the day, you're a company and you're in charge of your superstars, and you're having a guy go out there, or wrestlers, superstars, whatever, because I know some ROH fans are going to watch this and get mad at me. But anyways, it's all good. And that's actually, we're going to be talking a little about TNA and ROH, if you don't mind, a little bit later on, if you don't mind. Jeff Hardy went out there. It was absolutely horrible, but it's just one of those things where you saw the ups of Jeff Hardy, you saw the downs of Jeff Hardy. You know what Jeff Hardy's career, I resemble it as it's a roller coaster. Jeff Hardy's got these these leaps and bounds. He's got these ups and downs. It's all these different things. He's going in this direction. He goes in that direction. You don't, quite frankly, know sometimes what Jeff Hardy you're going to get. when he was under those circumstances. But now that he's supposedly cleaned, I think this is good. And I think, the WWE is so strict, with their drug policy and, all these other things that they got going on, that there's no way that Jeff Hardy, there's no way he would get away with any of that. So I think Jeff Hardy's, knowing he wants to finish his career in the WWE, he's going to try to do everything in his power to make sure that everything goes according to plan. And then, of course, another reason why Jeff Hardy, quite frankly, wants to go to WWE is because, well, TNA is a sinking ship. I mean, listen, I want to make this perfectly clear to everybody. I don't want to see TNA go out of business. I don't want to see wrestlers without a job. But with the way that they're going about their business is totally ass backwards. It's wrong. And they just are, they need a whole different model. They need a whole model of what they're doing. And until that model changes, they're not, I mean, they've lost, there was a time when they got up to 1 million viewers, right, on Spike TV. They go to Destination America, and half their audience is cut in half. I mean, they're lucky if they're reaching, 500,000 views. They're lucky if they're even getting that. And it's sad because, I mean, I remember I used to watch TNA back when in its glory days, 2002 to 2007, 2008. And then when Bischoff and Hogan came, the whole direction changed and everything went out the door. And, quite frankly, TNA has never rebounded. It never has.
Yeah, that's the thing. I completely agree with you because TNA right now, I've actually started recently watching it again, and I went back to watching it, and I've done 2 reviews already on it. The problem is that there's this invasion storyline with Global Force Wrestling. I thought, well, this is going to be great. It's going to be the main storyline that they're going to do. They didn't do that because the main storyline is Jeff Hardy and EC3. If it's an invasion, if your company is being invaded, it should be the main focus, not the world. You know what should have happened? They should have had EC3 versus Matt Hardy and have the Global Force Wrestling people come down, beat the living shit out of a whole lot of them, and say, we're here, we're going after that title, and people would be invested. But now it's just a throwaway. It's just a throwaway. So I don't know what they're going to do with this thing. And it's disappointing to see. Now, back in the day, I said a lot of shit about TNA. And I said, I want them out of business. We all know I was a bit of I was crazy as fuck back then. But now I don't want it to be out of business because, like Vince McMahon says, competition is amazing. And that's what the wrestling industry needs. When WCW was against WWE, the wrestling at the very start was absolutely amazing because it was at high competition. We do not have that anymore. WWE has no reason to take risks anymore because they are the #1 company. Now, do I think that, personally for me, I think Ring of Honor is amazing. I think what Ring of Honor is doing right now, I always say Moose, Moose, Moose because I fucking love Moose's fucking theme song. It is amazing. I think what Ring of Honor are doing is amazing. Maybe it's something that TNA needs to learn from. But like I said, even the TNA fans are saying, you know what, I'm done. And that's a sad thing. It's a very sad thing because TNA could have been amazing. I remember watching TNA at the very start. It was amazing. The X Division was amazing. The high maneuvers that they did. It was just fantastic. But now it's just... you know what? I was speaking to a friend of mine, and he said when TNA didn't take themselves seriously, it was amazing. I remember watching the 2010 TNA, and that is actually more entertaining than what WWE is now. Because you remember the notorious Ric Flair promo with Jay Lethal? I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, I remember that very well. Yep.
It was that was so damn funny, and it was really good to see. But when TNA now, they're kind of taking themselves a little bit serious. I think TNA needs to stop taking themselves seriously. Joke about, have a good time, and entertain the people. They don't need to go down this road of the serious type wrestling stuff. TNA can be entertaining. It can be. We've seen those previous years that it was amazing. But I don't know what they're doing now. I really hope they don't go out of business. I pray to God they don't. But It's not looking good for them. It's not looking good. Now, the reports were saying, Sean, that their contract has extended till October. If that contract extends after October, then they will stay permanently on Destination America because of the clause that happened. What do you think Destination America is going to do? Do you think that they're going to extend them again?
Well, the fascinating thing is TNA has all these other deals like in India and all across the country. You know, it seems like they're bigger outside the United States because you said they go until what was October, you said?
October, yeah.
And I think that's going to be in India. I think India, it's somewhere out of the States. I know that. And the thing about TNA is, like I said, you know, the predictable thing has been, well, TNA shutting down. They're going out of business. They can't stand the test of time. But yet they always find a way to keep their head above the water. And quite frankly, I don't know how they're doing it, but they're doing it. But, well, I mean, one of the reasons, obviously, Dixie Carter has a lot of money. She's got a big bank. You know what I'm saying? And the thing about it is I think she should utilize that bank to the best of her opportunities because, you know, when it comes to promoting and expanding, they're not doing it. Yeah, they have their live events. They have their base brawls, but it's sad because you see, 100 people at the baseball field for a TNA event? I mean, TNA's been around for over 10 years. They should be drawing more than a decent amount of crowd members or fans, whatever you want to call them. And the thing is, like I said, I agree exactly with what you were saying. I agree that the model does have to change. They have to go in a different direction. You know, and you know, the whole thing about the Global Force Wrestling, once again, I agree with you on that, but I also add to the fact that it was too rushed. They rushed that angle way too fast. It got to a point where it's like you're having sex, right? You rush it too fast. You rush the damn thing too fast, and then all of a sudden, an eruption, and then out of nowhere. It ended so fast. It ended so quickly. It was like, what the hell just happened? What just occurred? They could have drawn that out for at least a couple months. Instead, boom, 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 done. It's like, okay, what did we just see? And that's the thing, you know, we as fans, not only in TNA but WWE, we want storylines that are longer. We want storylines that last, storylines that get us invested into the product. And TNA, like you said, it's not been all, you know, gray for them. They've had some great moments in matches and you know, standout moments. There's no doubt about it. But right now, you know, unless something, you know, godly happens, unless something huge occurs, I don't know. I thought Jeff Jarrett going there was going to, you know, boost things up a little bit, was going to change the game. But with the way they've done this, I just don't see it having a lot of legs to stand on. And like you said, we don't want to see it go out of business. But if they don't change their model, I don't know. Like I said, I'm worried. I'm worried about TNA because, you know, Global Force Wrestling could take over. They could take over everything. But Global Force Wrestling, they're not drawing. They're already getting a bad reputation as it is. Some guy, he bought a ticket. Did you hear about that story? The guy bought a ticket and they canceled the event without him knowing, and he wrote a big thing about it on Facebook.
No, I didn't hear about that. Could you elaborate on that story?
Yeah, well, Global Force Wrestling, they're already getting a bad reputation because it was supposed to be an event. The guy had already bought the tickets in advance, and the day comes and there's no event. The guy tries to get his refund, and, you know, they're giving him the runaround. You know, they're coming up with a bunch of BS stories, and, you know, long story short, finally, after a hassle, I think he got his money back, but he said he'll never, ever do something like that again. Because first of all, it was canceled out of nowhere. It was a big hassle to get his money back. So, you know, Global Force Wrestling's already off to a bad start. So, I mean, like I said, you know what? The thing is, yes, we want to see competition because we want to see the WWE get better. We want to see the WWE improve. But like I said, with the way TNA and Global Force Wrestling is going about it, I don't see that happening in the next year or two. I don't even see it happening in the next 5 years if they stay the course. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the thing is with Global Force Wrestling, as far as I'm aware, they don't have a television deal yet. And that's the sad part, is that with this whole Invasion storyline, they're against, they're essentially against a company that doesn't have a television deal. It would work if that company was an established network. For example, why didn't they not just do it with Ring of Honor? Why not have it with Ring of Honor? They're on Destination America. It makes logical sense. But apparently the reports were saying Destination America may remove one where they could keep Ring of Honor and get rid of TNA, or maybe vice versa if TNA picks things up. But like I said, TNA, it was so good back then, but they just... Do you know what the problem was, Sean, when they went one-on-one with WWE on the Monday Night Wars? Do you remember that? Whenever they went one-on-one for the ratings, and then I think...
it was exciting because it's like, oh my God, something could happen. And then obviously nothing happened. I mean, listen, they jam-packed TNA. They had Hogan, they had Flair, they had Sting. They brought out everything but the kitchen oven. They brought out everything. The kitchen sink, everything. But nothing material. That's the thing with TNA. Nothing materializes. Nothing gets over. And WWE's ratings obviously aren't what they used to be in the Attitude Era. And a lot of people blame it on the PG rating. But really, when you're going to look at the whole picture, you don't have Austin. You don't have The Rock. You don't have DX. You don't have Triple H. You don't have The Undertaker. You got to think about it from that perspective. We don't have the talent. And look at TNA, and this is what I'm trying to respond to. TNA has lost AJ Styles. They have lost Sting. Look at all the marquee names that they have lost over time. And now it's, like I said, TNA right now is a former shell of itself. And you know what? Because look at all the bad checks, or they weren't paid on time. How many times do we hear about reports about TNA wrestlers being underpaid or not paid or bounced checks? That's not good. That's not the way you go. Imagine going out there, busting your ass, performing in that ring, possibly breaking your neck for the fans, for their entertainment, and you don't get paid. I've never heard of it. It's ridiculous. I mean, like I said, until something major changes or happens, we are going to continue to see this downfall of TNA wrestling, and it's not something I want to see. It's not healthy for the competitive spirit of WWE, ROH, or any other indie promotion that's out there. Let's once again call a spade a spade. The bottom line is you need competition to survive and thrive. And the WWE right now, they're in a mode where they're just going through the motions. And they're only going through the motions because they don't have to do what they did back in the Attitude Era. They don't have to do what they had to do back when ECW and WCW was, running them, down the toilet, making them look horrible. So now the WWE is in this mode where they're just going through the motions. They're in pilot mode, and they're just the thing about Raw, too many matches and the length of the matches are too long. They need more storylines. They need more storytelling. And that's a lost art, I think, in WWE, is the ability to tell a story.
Yeah, you know what? And I've said this on many occasions in my videos. I've even said it on WJ's videos. I've even said it on other people's podcasts. There is no investment in WWE storylines. If you look at this, right, Lana and Rusev, right, the Lana Rusev storyline, no investment. That might as well be on TMZ, for fuck's sake. Nobody gives a damn about it. Nobody cares about this storyline, but they continue and continue. Now, Lana has injured her hand. Is that going to affect the storyline? I don't know. They'll probably keep doing Ziggler versus Rusev, but they kept doing that storyline, and fans generally didn't care. The Authority storyline, for example, has run its course. Sean, this storyline with the Authority has been going for 2 years. 2 years! And Triple H doesn't even know if he's a heel or a face. Where's the Authority? They're called the Authority, but there's no authority figure there. They're a heel group, but they're bashed. They're attacking their top star, and then they sing his praises, and then they say, well, you're in this match, and he starts complaining. It makes no sense. Now, Sean, I want to say this. There's been news. It is, again, a rumor, but the rumor is that Eric Bischoff has been rumored to come back to the WWE. What's your reaction to this news? Do you think it'll happen?
Well, I have a lot of opinions on Eric Bischoff. I mean, him and Vince Russo have had an ongoing rivalry and feud, and a lot of people, I might catch a lot of heat and hate for this, but I take Russo's side over Bischoff. And that could be a whole nother video for a whole nother time. Listen, I agree with some of Bischoff's, tactics and the way he went about his business. Listen, in my opinion, the greatest thing that Eric Bischoff ever did was when he was in WWE and created the Elimination Chamber match. That's the only thing I liked about Eric Bischoff was he created the Elimination Chamber match, and it gave Stone Cold Steve Austin reason to be on TV again as co-general managers with Eric Bischoff in 2003 to 2004, which was a great time to be a WWE fan, really, because you had the brand split, you had Brock Lesnar, you had all the top guys there. It was great, it was awesome, it was it was entertaining, And when Eric Bischoff first came to WWE in 2002 and he shook the hand of Vince McMahon, literally that was a moment. I mean, who would ever thought in a million years Vince McMahon and Eric Bischoff would have shook hands on the ramp on Monday Night Raw? I mean, absolutely shocking. To this day, one of the most shocking moments in Raw history. But with Eric Bischoff coming back now, I mean, it depends how they used him. It depends what role he's in. It depends on a lot of variables that goes into this. And, Eric Bischoff, like I said, I'm not going to knock the guy and everything. The guy does have a brain. The guy knows what he's doing. The guy is smart. But there's a lot of things he's done that wasn't so smart. And, what I personally didn't like is how he talked about the rumor. I know the rumor you're talking about. He's supposed to be on the Stone Cold podcast. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, the rumor is he's going to be, like I said, he's going to be on the Stone Cold podcast, but also the rumor was, like I said, it's just a rumor, it's not official, but apparently WWE are thinking of making him as a general manager, which is interesting to me because, if anything that Raw needs is a general manager, because personally for me, when you see Triple H and Stephanie McMahon, yeah, at the start it was good to see, but it's starting to get boring now. I think that they need a proper heel general manager who doesn't give a damn about anyone, who puts wrestlers in their place, that bashes them, that gets heat from the crowd, so there's investment. I think Eric Bischoff could fit that nicely. He is, like I said, he is a great guy on the microphone. He can be an amazing heel when he wants to be. But like I said, it is just a rumor. It's not official. But I'd like to see him as a general manager because we do need like a general manager that is a heel. A lot of people bash John Laurinaitis. I actually like the guy because he invoked emotion. Yes, he was terrible on the microphone, but he invoked emotion that people hated him. And that's something that WWE is lacking. They're lacking that investment. And I think that they need Eric Bischoff in there, maybe to have, or even Paul Heyman. Jesus, if Paul Heyman was a general manager, I'd be jumping all up and down this fucking room. But, they just need an authority general manager that is a heel, that is hated, and that's what I feel that Raw needs.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you to a certain extent. The only thing I'm saying, listen, Eric Bischoff definitely would provide something for the WWE. It definitely would be better than what we're seeing right now with the authority storyline. Just to retract for a moment, you talked about the whole Lana, Rusev, Dolph Ziggler thing. We don't want to see it no more. It's been, dragged out too long. Nobody wants to see it. Well, here's the thing. Yes, us as fans have asked for storylines to be longer, but we haven't asked for boring storylines. See, this could be good if it was written correctly. This could be intriguing if it was the way it was meant to be, the way it was supposed to be. But with the way that the WWE has portrayed this angle, it's lost all kinds of momentum. Listen, at first it was like, oh, okay, Lana left Rusev. She's with Dolph Ziggler now. What's going to happen? Now Lana's injured, and they're still dragging it out. As a matter of fact, I think Rusev is going to face Ziggler at Night of Oh, wait a minute. I got to get this off my chest. I'm going all over the place.
Here we go.
This is going to go. This is going to go good. Listen, we got Night of Champions, okay? Night of Champions. Why in the hell do we have a night of matches that are all not championship matches? Not every match is. You got a single match, you got a tag team match, you got a triple threat match. Where is the value in Night of Champions anymore? There is none. Listen, I remember back, 6 years ago? 6 years ago, every match was a title match. Nowadays, they throw a match here, they throw a match there. Yeah, there's going to be titles on the line, but where's the prestige? Where's the respect? Where's the legitimacy? You're supposed to have. That's why they got to eliminate the gimmick pay-per-views. They have to get rid of them because they have phased out. just like the storylines and the storyline with Rusev and Ziggler has phased out. They need to get rid of it and bring back Vengeance. Before it was Night of Champions, it was called Vengeance. Vengeance needs to return, just like No Mercy needs to return, just like Armageddon needs to return, just like Backlash and Judgment Day needs to take place of all these other gimmick pay-per-views that they're just, it means nothing. Hell in the Cell, that match means nothing anymore. Hell, the Royal Rumble, one of my favorite pay-per-views of all time, has been watered down to shame. And that's a sad thing to say because I love the Royal Rumble. I have been to multiple Royal Rumbles live in person. And to see what the Royal Rumble has become, the King of the Ring, let's not even talk about the King of the Ring. The King of the Ring was one of the awesomest pay-per-views of all time. And now what have they done to the King of the Ring? They've made it a former shell of itself once again. How do you have a one-night tournament and get it done just like that? Oh, we're going to throw it on the WWE Network one night and it's all over just like that. Are you freaking kidding me? You know what? I swear fans like you or me could just take the WWE in a different perspective, a different spot, a different location, and us as fans could actually write better than these Hollywood writers who have no basis, who have no history of the business. And you know what really baffles me? Okay, we got a creative team of over 20 people, maybe more than that, right? How the hell does these ideas get passed by Vince McMahon? How does these ideas cross paths with a Triple H? How the hell do they say, okay, this sounds great. We're going to go with this. We're going to do this. I don't understand the logic. I don't know if it's just Triple H going along with Vince McMahon because he doesn't want to have all the backlash and he doesn't want to argue with the old man. I don't know what it is. But all I know is Vince McMahon at one time was a genius. Vince McMahon had his finger on the pulse. Now he's getting a little bit older. Vince McMahon, I don't know if he's getting a little bit wiser. I'm not going to bash the man because if it weren't for Vince McMahon, we wouldn't have what we have today. So I thank him for that. But what I don't like is the way that the WWE has just been so lackluster in what they have done. And it's called World Wrestling Entertainment. Well, I don't see the entertainment. I don't see where the E is being put back in WWE. But maybe Eric Bischoff could put the E back in WWE once again. Like I said, though, it all comes down to how they use him.
Yeah, listen, I am so fucking frustrated. Listen, do you know what really got me? When I seen that pay-per-view Fastlane, They removed the Elimination Chamber, okay? My second favorite, believe it or not, actually my most favorite pay-per-view is actually Royal Rumble as well. Was Royal Rumble and Elimination Chamber. They replaced that with Fastlane, and the pay-per-view name makes no sense. What's the point? What's the point calling it Fastlane? You might as well have an Elimination Chamber match. It's complete horseshit, okay? Why would they do this? It's idiotic. Like you were saying, bring back Vengeance. Bring back good pay-per-views. Don't do this. It's watered down. Hell in the Cell. What's the point in having a Hell in the Cell when they don't bleed? You might as well have rubber rings on that Hell in the Cell because there's no danger. Once you take out, this is the thing. I understand why they may have to take out blood for health and safety. I understand that. But if you're having a Hell in the Cell, there has to be that element of danger. There has to be that element of, like, Mick Foley being thrown off the top of the Hell in the Cell. There has to be that. Is he going to, that investment of danger? There's no danger there. There's no, there's just nothing there. It's just, they might as well remove the Hell in the Cell and have the two of them fight in a normal ring, for God's sake.
I don't even see the use of Hell in the Cell anymore. I really don't. And you know what? Not only is it being its own pay-per-view bad to the legacy of Hell in the Cell, but the fact that they actually used to build a feud for Hell in the Cell. A feud would reach its maximum where they had to go to Hell itself. Now, we're just going to throw two guys in Hell in the Cell for the hell of it. No, that's not what it was created for. That's not what it was made for. How can you take something that was such a great idea and evoke so much emotion and danger and water it down to Saturday morning slam? How the hell could you do that?
It's like there's times where I mean, see, watching some of these pay-per-views, I literally rip my hair out watching it. It is just so pointless. It's like, it's not even, if you're gonna do the pay-per-view, do it right. We don't want it half-assed. We don't want it watered down. We want investment in these feuds. Like you were saying, the Hell in a Cell had a purpose. It would be the two people would interact. They would have beef with each other. Then they would have a normal match. Then they would have a Extreme Rules match. And then it would go to Hell in a Cell. And then when you see, like, for example, Edge and Matt Hardy, two guys that legitimately hated each other over Lita, that is investment in Hell in a Cell, because you knew those two guys were going to beat the living shit out of each other in a Hell in a Cell. What are they going to do now? What, Rusev and R-Truth or something in a Hell in a Cell? Well, we'll just throw that together. You know, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
I know. You know, here's the thing. I've been, like I said, I've said this time and again. I've been a fan. I've never went away. I've never took a break. I always watch, no matter how good or bad it is. I always stay. But these questionable decisions that are made in the boardroom, I don't know how you can throw Hell in a Cell and water it down so bad that people don't even care about it no more. If you would have told me back in 97 that the Shawn Michaels Undertaker Hell in a Cell match, which was an instant classic, which raised the bar for Hell in a Cell, if you told me that match several years later was going to be watered down to just a gimmick match with no passion, no glory, no desire, nothing, no magnitude of, well, these guys hate each other and they're going to pulverize one another. Listen, you don't even need blood. Listen, blood's great to see in Hell in a Cell. It is. It does add more to the match. But I'm not even talking about blood. I'm talking, how about you go outside the cell? How about you utilize the cell? How about you make something of the Hell in a Cell? And they just have it, because they don't want, God forbid they go over the line. God forbid that they take a PG rating, which isn't meant for just kids. They can listen, the Attitude Era, a lot of it was PG. If you looked at the start of the Attitude Era in Raw, it stated TV PG DLV. That's what the rating was. And then, yes, it went to TV 14. But you can still have provocative, compelling, intriguing TV with a PG rating. But the WWE are too easy. They're too easy. They're too laid back. And they don't want to take chances. They are not taking chances. And you know what? I'll tell you the truth. I can see why Randy Orton wants a part-time deal now. Listen, that's when you know things are getting bad. When Randy Orton wants part-time in the WWE. That's bad. That's when you know things are... Listen, Randy Orton sees the picture. He sees what we're seeing. It's not good. It's just not good. So, you know what? The WWE right now, they need to take a few steps back before they go forward. They need to reevaluate the situation and see what the WWE says that they listen to the fans. They listen to social media. Well, you got two fans on here ranting and raving and trying to come up with all kinds of changes and differences, but you don't see this happening on television. They're not doing anything that we're saying. Nothing. They're doing the same old song and dance each and every week. And guess what? Football's back. The NFL is back, Jack. You know what that means? The ratings are going to go down lower and lower and lower until something changes. You can use the excuse that, oh, well, football's back. Well, guess what? In the Attitude Era, did the ratings go down when Monday Night Football was on? Hell no. No, it didn't. So football is not an excuse. But nowadays, it is an excuse because the WWE is being too easy.
That's the problem. Like, they're almost scared to take risks because of this PG rating. They're like, are we allowed to say this? You know, I was listening to an interview with Dave Bautista and Chris Jericho, and them two were talking. And Batista, whenever he returned back, he couldn't believe his eyes. He was just like, well, I'm going to do a nut shot here. And Vince McMahon said, no, you can't. And he's like, why not? And he said, it's not PG. And Batista had to keep saying it to him and saying it to him and saying it to him to do a low blow. To do a low blow. Okay? That's how bad it's gotten. And Vince McMahon eventually said, yeah, go ahead. And Batista had to run out the building because he didn't want Vince McMahon to change what he was saying. That's the problem we have here. WWE is afraid to take risks. WWE could have, it could still do that whole Attitude Era thing with a PG rating, but they need to take risks. They need to get out there more. They need people to say, hey, don't tune into this. Don't tune into that. Don't tune into your Breaking Bad. Don't tune into your Netflix. This is Monday Night Raw and tune into it. That's the problem now. And Sean, I want your opinion on this. Monday Night Raw, is it SmackDown now? Monday Night Raw is just filler for a pay-per-view. You could actually, and I've been, basically I was analyzing it. If you actually skip the first 4 weeks of Raw, and if you watch the last week of Raw and the pay-per-view, you will not miss anything. So what's the point watching all them 4 Raws? Each Raw has to have something special. It has to have something of investment. It has to have something where people say, I want to tune into this. I want to watch this. I have to watch this. But they're not doing it. They're not doing it. Like I was saying, them first 4, whatever the schedule may be, you can literally watch that Raw, watch that pay-per-view, watch the Raw again, and don't watch it for the rest of the month until they do it again, and it won't make any difference. And that's the problem. So what's your thoughts on Raw now? It's gotten horrible, Sean. The Raw is absolutely horrible.
Yeah. I mean, I remember times when I would literally, before I had YouTube as a job, I would actually race home. I would race home from work to come home to watch Raw. Because if you miss just one segment, you're lost, and you're like, oh my God. I remember when I was a kid, when I was like 5 or 6, I would, and I'll admit this, I would cry. I would cry when I missed Raw because I'm like, holy crap, I missed Monday Night Raw. I was mad. I was crying. I was throwing a hissy fit. I was going insane. But today, if you miss a Monday Night Raw, like you said, you're not missing a whole hell of a lot. And you know what? To compare it to SmackDown, you're pretty much right because it's just a bunch of matches. Match after... Listen, a 4-year-old could book Raw and SmackDown. Why? Because it's match after match. And you know what? Not only is it match after match, it's rematch after rematch after rematch after rematch. How many damn times are you going to see the same match in a 4-week span? I don't get it. I don't see it. I listen, if Raw was only consisting of matches, okay, let it be different matches. Let it be something we haven't seen before. And another thing that bothers me right now is Seth Rollins' title reign. Listen, I like Seth Rollins. He's a great wrestler. He's good on the mic. But when you have the fans on Raw chanting boring to your WWE World Heavyweight Champion, there is a problem. You have to analyze that problem. And it's not Seth Rollins' fault. It's the creative. I blame nothing on Seth Rollins. As a matter of fact, I blame nothing that is wrong with the WWE on any superstar. I blame nothing on any superstar. It's the creative. It's the brains of the operation. It is the inconsistencies. Here's the thing about Raw. You get one good Raw, and then the next 5 are absolutely atrocious. They're horrible. You fall asleep during Raw because it's that bad. And a lot of my subscribers always ask, Sean, how come you don't do a Raw review? Because it would be the same review every single week. There's nothing that changes. There's nothing that evolves. There's nothing that gets you involved. So at that point, you can't do... Why would you review a show that was the same for 4 weeks in a row? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's the thing as well, because, Sean, a lot of people know back in the day, I would watch Raw. Obviously, it's been well documented where I live in Ireland, and the time zone here, you have to watch Raw at 1 in the morning till 4 in the morning. Could you imagine watching that show at 1 in the morning till 4 in the morning? I can't do it anymore. So now I have to do Raw reviews the day after because I have to it's almost depressing once you watch it because you have to prepare yourself. I mean, Sean, every time I watch Raw, I'm going to turn into an alcoholic here, for crying out loud. I'm drinking more after watching this stuff. The only way you can enjoy Raw now is if you're drunk. That's the problem. If you play the Raw, someone needs to set up a Raw drinking game. I swear to God, it would actually be worth watching if someone created a Raw drinking game. But let me tell you something. This is the problem that I've said, okay? the start of Raw, okay, it determines how bad it's going to be. Every single time, it is Seth Rollins cutting a promo. Next week, Seth Rollins cutting a promo. Next week, Seth Rollins cutting a promo. Next week. Come on, I'm sick of it, okay? And the worst part now, thank fuck the Dudley Boys were there. I thank the Lord they were there, because in the middle of Raw was even worse. The middle of Raw, do you remember, like, back in the day in the Attitude Era, you had, like, Edge, Christian, the Dudley Boys, you had entertaining people in the middle of that Raw. In the middle of the Raw, it's either New Day, which, by the way, are entertaining, but then you have the Ascension, you have Cody Rhodes, whatever the hell they're doing with him now. You have R-Truth versus Rusev. You have, like, in the middle of, you could literally skip the whole of the show, watch the end, see Sting, and go, all right, see you later, bye, see you in the pay-per-view, and then just turn it off. It's a complete waste of time now. What was it? I was gonna say, who never thought Seanzviewent Entertainment and Channel Gerry ranting together? But
after all the history, we're here talking about what needs to change and what has to change. And are we going to see change on Monday night? Hell no. We're not. We're going to see the same song and dance. We're going to come on here and talk about the same ridiculous stuff that we've been seeing week in and week out. And you know what? The WWE are going to have people like us come on here and complaining and bitching, because it's a point where now we have to bitch. We have to moan. We have to complain, because there needs to be change. You know, a lot of people look at the IWC and they frown on it, and they look down on us, and they say we're a bunch of idiots and we're a bunch of retards and we're a bunch of whatever they want to call us these days. The bottom line is, do you see where the ratings are now compared to the Attitude Era? Listen, Vince, that's why I'm a huge fan of Vince Russo. Vince Russo made Raw watchable. Vince Russo made Raw entertaining. He was the reason why someone would rush home from work to watch Monday Night Raw. Because like I said, if you missed 1 week of Raw, you would be lost, and you'd be like, oh my God, you'd be pissed. You'd be pissed off. But nowadays, people watch WWE out of habit. And I think that's what's happening to me. I'm watching it out of habit because I'm a fan. And I swore to myself that I will never stop watching. And now that this is my job, I surely cannot never, ever stop watching WWE. But there comes a time where, like I said, I wish TNA would be better. I wish ROH would be better. I wish their ratings were a hell of a lot higher. But once again, there's just no company that has figured out a way to compete with the WWE. And you know what the worst thing about it is? Now is the best time to compete with WWE, because they don't know, they're not doing anything fresh. They're not doing anything compelling. They're not doing anything that draws you in. Right now would be the best opportunity for somebody to challenge the WWE, because the WWE is being very lackluster. And you know what? At this point, if you can't challenge the WWE right now, and all they're doing is giving you matches and rematches and matches and rematches, there's no hope. Right now, there's no hope. Maybe down the line, something's going to change. Drastic times call for drastic measures. And that's exactly what we need to see in 2015, because when the ratings are not evolving, when the ratings have gone down since the Attitude Era, that sums up the story right there.
I'm going to ask you a question. Is this the worst year professional wrestling so far?
2015, the worst year. Well, you know, listen, I'm not going to say the worst. I think if you go to the worst, I think 95 was still a, TL Hopper and Doink the Clown and Duke the Dumpster Drozy. I think 95 was still the worst year ever. But 2015, it's bad. I mean, if you're talking about a scale from 1 to 10, I got to give it maybe a 5.5, because WrestleMania was good, because you had the returns of DX and the NWO, and you had Seth Rollins cash in at WrestleMania. SummerSlam was good. So that's why I'm not saying it's the worst year. But I'll tell you what, if this trend continues, you are going to look, you're not going to look back on 2015 and 2020 and say, boy, that was a hell of a year. You're not going to look back in 2013 and say, boy, that was a hell of a year. You're going to look back. Listen, there's a reason why people still talk about the Attitude Era to this day. They're not talking about Raw from 2010. They're not talking about a pay-per-view from 2011. They're talking about the Attitude Era still. And if you're still talking about the Attitude Era in 2015, obviously you need to change the product.
Yeah. And that's the problem, is that like I was listening to the Right Smart Buster. The Smart Buster, shout out to them if they're watching this. The Smart Buster basically said that these characters that are on Raw, they don't know what they're doing. There's no investment in these characters. Seth Rollins, there's no establishment of what his character is. Roman Reigns, and I love Roman Reigns. As a matter of fact, I'm actually a Roman Reigns fan, believe it or not. Roman Reigns, he doesn't know what he's doing. Dean Ambrose, a guy who is still my favorite wrestler in the current product today. But this is the thing. The fucking Dean Ambrose is supposed to be a lunatic. He's supposed to be crazy, and he's squirting mustard at people. I mean, that's not what a lunatic is. Not so. It's essentially what the Smart Buster was saying was he's a watered down Brian Pillman. That's what it is. He's watered down. And that's the problem with these characters. They could be so great. They could be so amazing. But it's like they're tied together by these scripts. And this is another question I need to ask, Sean. Should WWE be lenient with scripts, with promos? Like Austin and Rock, when they didn't have a script, they didn't give a shit. They just said whatever the hell they wanted to say. Should WWE be more lenient with the talent, saying what they got to say? What do you think about that?
They definitely have to be an extension of themselves. Listen, if you can talk, you put the guy out there and you let them talk. If they can't talk, you give them a Paul Heyman, you give them a mouthpiece, you give them somebody. The WWE superstars are not getting over because they're not being an extension of themselves. It's not coming from the heart, so to speak. You can see just how bad it is when you can almost tell there's a teleprompter in the back. They're reading off a screen, and they have to memorize. That's why Roman Reigns sucks at his promos, because they're writing this guy word for word for word. Roman Reigns would be a hell of a lot better off if he were by himself, without saying, okay, remember this, remember that, do this and do that. And God bless Roddy Piper's soul, when he did that last Piper's Pit, it was atrocious because they told Piper, you got to say this. Imagine telling a Stone Cold in the Attitude Era, oh, Austin, you're going to go say this, and Rock, you're going to go do that. Listen, if that were the case, there would be no WWE right now. If you told a Piper, an Austin, a Hogan, if you told any of those guys, the Ultimate Warrior, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, The Rock, if you told any of those guys, this is what you're going to say, and this is how you're going to act, and this is how you're going to react, a lot of the Attitude Era was built on emotion. It was built on the mic work. It was built on storytelling, and that it's a lost art nowadays because they got these guys so scripted to the point where you can tell it's not real. You can tell it's fabricated. And in my opinion, I agree with you. They need to be very lenient on these promos and the scripts. And you know what? This creative team, I don't know where they're getting this from. I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know what runs through their minds. But they're not crossing any lines. They're not breaking the barriers. They're not giving us something different. They're just going through the motions. They're in pilot mode. And yes, I agree. The WWE superstars, if they can talk, put them out there and let them talk. If they can't talk, give them a manager. But then again, a manager, you really only have Paul Heyman, really. So there's not even a lot of managers to talk to be the mouthpiece. So that's another problem.
Yeah, and like I said, again, it goes to the investment part. These wrestlers, they look depressed. That's the funny thing. They look physically depressed. They walk down the ring and yeah, they're smiling, but they're wearing that mask. They know that they're not happy with what they're doing. And I remember Vince McMahon said you have to chase after the brass ring. And I know you're a Cena guy, Sean, but Cena was like, these people need to go after the belt. But this is the problem, is that if these wrestlers do take a risk and say something out of the ordinary that's not on the script, they'll be either in the lower card or even worse, future endeavored, and they'll be fired. And this is the problem we have. These wrestlers are literally They might as well have a gun at the back of their head. You have to do exactly what you say. If you do not, you'll be fired. And that's the problem. Now, you're seeing a lot with the New Day. That doesn't look scripted. They look like they're doing their own thing. And they transformed into what was a shit group, and they made it into almost a trolling, funny group. That's great. But they need to do that with all the wrestlers. They can't just rely on it. They need to say, listen, what would you... you know what they need to do, Sean? They need to go up and they need to bring a Dean Ambrose or Roman Reigns or something in the creative development. And just turn around and say to them, what do you want to do? And let them voice their opinion. You know, if you remember back in the day, it was Shawn Michaels, Triple H, you know, I remember Degenerate, you know, the Clique. They were constantly in Vince McMahon's ear, and they were giving him advice on what would be great. And Vince McMahon would either like it, or most of the time he would do it. But now you don't have that. The only two people that are really, and you wouldn't even say that they're in Vince's ear, is either John Cena or Randy Orton. But like you're saying, fucking Randy Orton, he's going to go part-time because he's had enough of this shit. They have no storylines, and this is the problem, Sean. These RKO Vines, they're still making these RKO videos online. They're going viral. I was on Tyrone Magnus's show a few months, I think it was like a year ago when I was on the Russell Hart show. Tyrone Magnus does reactions to these, and they get 1 million views. If you see that, why do they not put Randy Orton in the main picture? What happened to a guy who became popular, a guy that people were talking about? There's people that do not know who Randy Orton is, but they tune in to the RKO Vines. So they say, let's see who this Randy Orton guy is. So they grab the remote, right? They grab the remote, they turn it on, and they see he's not on TV, or he's in a fucking feud with Sheamus for the 100th time. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
And you know, that's the thing about Randy Orton. I'm a huge Randy Orton fan. I love Randy Orton. But like I said in a video before, he's just like another guy on the roster just taking up space. They're doing nothing with him. He's just going through the motions. Like I said, oh boy, going against Sheamus. We've never seen that before. Hell, we actually saw it at SummerSlam in 2010. I mean, how you can take a Randy Orton and water him down from being the sadistic viper that he used to be, tormenting Triple H, RKO and Stephanie McMahon, doing all these things, taking out John Cena's father, and now he is regulated to doing absolutely nothing. And that, once again, how you cannot capitalize on the RKO Vines is you know what? Randy Orton's making a lot of money, but he could be making a hell of a lot more money if they capitalize on the certain things that would branch Randy Orton out even further. And in my opinion, Randy Orton should probably be the WWE World Champion right now. Randy Orton should still be the champion right now. But with the way the WWE writes, with the way their creative is, with the way that they're not consistent. Listen, I'm more consistent than them. I call myself consistent, prolific, and dedicated because I am that. I am the picture of what you see. But what the WWE sees, it's completely different. It's muffled. The light at the end of the tunnel is getting darker. And before it gets brighter, we could see a big crash. And it's not going to be good.
Sean, there has been a question that a lot of people have been asking about the WWE. And it's something that a lot of people want to know. Should WWE have an off season? Now, we know that me and you both know that most people go on YouTube to watch wrestling videos between the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania. We all know that's when people go on YouTube and check it out. Should WWE have an off season? What's your opinion on that?
Well, I mean, for the superstars, obviously, I'm sure they'd love that, but they're independent contractors. You know, they get paid year by year a certain amount of money. And you know, I mean, when we're not watching Raw or SmackDown and there's a live event, we're not watching these guys are on the road every single day of every single year. They only have maybe about 3, 4, 5 weeks off out of the entire year if they're lucky, or they have just enough time to go home and they're gonna fly back home to the event. Listen, it's very hard. That's why, you know, it baffles my mind when you watch, you know, Tough Enough. And, oh, well, I didn't realize it was this tough. I didn't realize it was this hard. I didn't realize that you had to do this. I didn't realize that you had to do that. You know what you're getting yourself signed up for. You know what you're doing. So, for me, I mean, and, this isn't, a jab at the superstars or anything, but seeing that, this is my job now, it would hurt me. Quite frankly, it would hurt the wrestlers because they wouldn't be paid as much. Obviously they make a lot of money in merchandise sales and the live events and the pay-per-views. So if they were to have an off season, listen, there's positives and negatives to that whole thing. There really is. But to me, for the superstars' health and well-being, yeah, it would be nice to see them have an off season for them to refresh. And maybe that would give listen, the only reason I would go for this completely is because it would give the creative team time to think about what to materialize, and maybe they could come up with something good. Because you know what? As good as it would be for the superstars to have time off, I think it would be that much better to give the creative team a time off, because these guys need to rethink. They need to go back and go back to the drawing board and see what worked and what needs to change, and instead of seeing the same rehashed storylines over and over again. So, you know what? It's kind of a tough question. It's kind of a hard answer, but it's like you're in between the yes and no, because like I said, there's positives and negatives to an off season. And like I said, when you're a superstar, you know what you're getting yourself into. You know what you're signing up for. So if you're getting into that business, you know what to expect and you know what to anticipate.
Yeah, and Sean, just finally, I'm going to bring up the Night of Champions matches here. So, maybe we could do a quick prediction. I know there's only been a few matches that have been announced. Also, just before, whenever I'm looking this up, what's your thoughts on Sting's return? What do you think of that?
Well, I think it's something different. I mean, we talk about how there's always the same song at the end. So this is one thing out of the whole 3-hour show that's different. Sting going, well, originally Sting, I'm sure you read the report. It was supposed to be Sting on, with Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose. And they scrapped that. Instead, they put Sting against Seth Rollins. And listen, I think Seth Rollins can get a good match out of Sting, because you know what? I saw Sting a couple weeks ago on Raw, and when he had that little interaction with Seth Rollins, and Sting looked like he looked good. He was moving faster. His movements were good. He seemed like he was, on. And I think it's going to be a good match. And I don't know. Sheamus has the money in the bank. There's rumors that Sting's going to win, and then Sheamus is going to cash in. But I don't think that would be a good idea to do for Sting. I really don't, because that would just kill the entire reason. Why was Sting even built up to this? Why did Sting? Listen, this has been the one thing that Sting has never done, and that's compete for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship and win the WWE World Championship. This has eluded him his entire career. So, I mean, if it were me, I think it would be nice for nostalgic reasons. I'm not saying he has to go on a 6-month reign. Hell, if he went on a 4-month reign, hell, even if he went on a 2-month reign, but don't make it a 30-second reign. Hell, you know what? If he were to lose it the next Monday night on Raw, I wouldn't be that sad. But if you have Sting win that championship only for Sheamus to come down and cash in on Sting, I don't like it. Now, if Seth Rollins were to win and Seth Rollins gets cashed in on, that I don't mind. But if you're bringing back Sting, listen, Sting at this point, he already lost to Triple H, which he should have never done. If they have Sting lose again, if I were Sting, I would never come back. Sting cannot lose. This is a can't lose proposition. He has to win this match.
Yeah, Andre Kerville said exactly what you were saying, and I completely agree. Sting has lost one match. He's 1-0, okay? He's lost. It is a must win for him. He has to win this. If he doesn't win this, then what's the point even bringing him back? And also, Sean, as well, we have not seen Sting versus Undertaker. Sting's been in the company, how long? Technically, about 2 years? Technically?
Yeah, almost 2 years now.
Almost 2 years.
You wouldn't know it because he's not there all the time.
Yeah. And the worst thing is, what WWE are telling us, the boxing fans had Manny Pacquiao versus Mayweather. The UFC have their dream matches. Wrestling fans have never seen Sting versus Undertaker. I need to ask this question before we go into the quick predictions. Will Sting and Undertaker actually happen?
Well, according to what's being said, it doesn't seem like that's going to be the direction, and I don't know why. Listen, they had a chance to do it last year. They had a chance to do it this year. They had a chance. They blew it. They didn't do it. They were thinking about doing it. They wanted to do it, but then all of a sudden, the last second, no, well, let's scrap the plans. We're not going to do it. Decided we're going to do this instead. We're gonna have Bray Wyatt versus The Undertaker, because a lot more people would rather see Bray Wyatt versus The Undertaker than Sting versus The Undertaker, right? Right, yeah. Anyways, I mean, listen, it's a match that everybody wants to see. Just like when, The Rock and John Cena had all that beef. We wanted to see that match. It finally happened. Why can't they give us Sting versus The Undertaker? I will never know. But you know what? As they say in the WWE, never say never. So, I mean, is there a possibility that it could happen? Yes, there's a possibility. But you know what? They could have, listen, they could have done that at SummerSlam instead of Brock Lesnar versus The Undertaker again. They could have Sting versus The Undertaker, but once again, they decided not to do it. So right now, to me, it seems like we're not going to get it. The only way we will get it is in WWE 2K16. But other than that, I want to see it. But for whatever reason, they're not giving it to us. I don't know if it's because Sting and The Undertaker think they can't give us a good match. I don't know if it's the creative. Listen, that storyline writes itself. It doesn't take a brain surgeon to come up with a storyline between Sting and The Undertaker. Like I said, it writes itself. So WWE would be losing out on a lot of fans, on a lot of money, on a lot of revenue if they don't do this match.
Yeah, I completely agree. WWE need to wise the fuck up. They need to make this match happen. Like I said, I watched the Mayweather-Berto fight, which was completely boring, but Manny Pacquiao versus Floyd Mayweather, it was a fight that no one ever thought to see. Boxing fans got their dream match before wrestling fans. That's the funny thing about it. The boxing fans got their dream match and wrestling fans haven't. But Sean, let's get into some of these quick predictions. There is a obviously subject to change because of some matches may be announced. So there is we'll get into the first match here. It is to be announced. There is two teams that are involved in this match. The team has not been announced, but the Dudley Boys are involved. It is for your tag team championship. Obviously, it is between the New Day and the Primetime Players, and them two are obviously competing to determine who will go against the Dudley Boys at Night of Champions. Whoever it may be, the New Day or Primetime Players, who's going to win between them and the Dudley Boys?
Dudley Boys have to come away. Once again, why bring the Dudley Boys back when you're not going to use them to their full performance or maximum? They need to win. They need to, like I said, I'm not asking for a long reign, but they need to, especially with the way the WWE has been building up the Dudley Boys over the last several weeks, putting guys through tables. We want to see the New Day go through the tables. We want to see them as the tag team champions. The Dudley Boys, in my opinion, need to win this. But then again, if you look at it, the New Day just won the belts back, so then that wouldn't make sense. So see, here's the way the WWE does this a lot. They book themselves into a corner. They put themselves into a corner where whatever situation happens, it's not going to be a win-win situation for anybody. But in my opinion, if I'm looking at a winner, I want to see the Dudley Boys come away with the win.
Dudley Boys. The one where we've been very angry at, Dolph Ziggler versus Rusev for the 100th time. Summer Rae will be involved in the match. It's a singles match, no titles on the line. Who's gonna win?
Wait a minute. You mean we got a Night of Champions match and no titles on the line? Where's the sense? Where's the logic? How does that add up?
It makes no sense.
It should be Summer Rae on a pole match. At least they'd be fighting for something. At least there would be something at stake. But no, they're not putting anything at stake. Maybe I know what they're going to do. They're going to put Lana's wrist at stake because she broke her wrist. They're going to put her wrist at stake. They're going to raise the stakes a little bit, put a wrist on there, and maybe they'll put a little Band-Aid on there. Maybe they'll fight over a Band-Aid. I don't know. But in this match, I hope Ziggler comes away with the victory because I think Ziggler needs it more than Rusev. So yeah, Ziggler for the win.
Ziggler for the win. Then we have a 6-man tag match. The competitor who is competing with Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns is still to be announced, but it is Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns, and whoever this person may be versus the Wyatt family. It is a 6-man tag team match. No titles on the line. It's fucking ridiculous, Sean. Like,
I thought this was called Night of Champions. I thought.
Like, see, looking at the card, I hope there's not another one that doesn't have it. But
you know what? Depending on who the partner is, there's been all kinds of rumors about who it could be. Maybe it's Randy Orton. Maybe it's that guy from NXT. I don't know who the hell it's going to be, but maybe they'll dig up Yokozuna from the grave. I don't know what they're going to do. But I want the Shield to win. But the way that the Wyatt family has been looking, it's kind of hard to overlook the Wyatt family, especially with the new guy, Braun Strowman, added in. The guy's absolutely huge. The guy's already making huge, he's just dominating everybody that walks past him. So as much as I want the Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose to win, I don't know. I actually see the Wyatt family coming away with the win.
Yeah, I actually agree with that. I think the Wyatt family will win. Now we have two matches that actually have championships in them.
My God.
Whoa, what a big shocker. It's a Russo swerve. It's a Russo swerve.
Yeah, it's a swerve. Yeah, it's a swerve. Yeah.
Seth Rollins versus John Cena for your United States Championship. This is a singles match for United States Championship. Who is going to walk out as champion?
Well, on one hand, I want John Cena obviously to win, but then they're talking about this feud. Now, here's a feud that's going to be long-term, and hopefully they're going to make it good. I mean, even though we've seen Rollins versus Cena 1,000 times, at least now they're trying to put a storyline in with it, and, really this has only started since SummerSlam, so I'm not going to bash it yet. I'm not going to critique it yet. But I want Cena to win, and the rumors is that John Cena's merchandise of the U.S. title and his shirts and the belts are going to start coming out again. So right now, it looks like John Cena is going to win, but as we all know, the WWE can change directions. So I want Cena to win. But you know what? The mere fact that Seth Rollins is in 2 matches, right off the bat that those 2 matches are going to steal the show. That these 2 matches will be the reason to watch the show. So I want Cena to win for the United States Championship. Because, and it's not just because I'm a Cena fan. I'll tell you why I want Cena to win. Because when Cena had that belt, he was defending it every single week. Since Seth Rollins has been the champion, when has he defended that belt? Never.
Yeah. Actually, Wrestling Jesus actually agrees with you on that. He said, like, John Cena, when he had the belt, there was investment there. When Seth Rollins has it, he literally might as well stick it in a handbag because it's an accessory. You know what I mean? So I actually, believe it or not, as much as I dislike John Cena, shocker here, I actually think Cena's gonna win. Which is really surprising. But I hope this is the main event. But I hope this is the main event, but knowing WWE, they can fuck it up. It is Seth Rollins versus Sting. It is a singles match for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Bear in mind, Sheamus has the money in the bank, so that could be a factor. Sean, who is going to win the match, and who's going to walk out as champion?
It better be Sting if the WWE wants to keep people. If they want to have people watch the show, if they want to have them watch the next night on Raw, what's going to happen? What's the turn of events going to be? How is this all going to unfold? How is this saga going to be? You need to have Sting walk out champion. And then from there, you can build the chase for Seth Rollins and Triple H, because as you've seen, they're trying to start to build the tension between Triple H and Seth Rollins, where they're going to have a feud and probably going to, happen at WrestleMania, have the blow-off match. But like you said, you got Sheamus involved in there. But hey, who's to say that Sheamus is even going to successfully cash in? We could see another John Cena moment where John Cena cashes in and is unsuccessful on cashing in. So just because Sheamus has the money in the bank doesn't mean he's going to win. Sure, his chances are good of winning, but it doesn't mean he's going to win. So in my opinion, I hope Sting walks away the champion.
Yeah, yet again, I agree with you, because I think Sting, if he loses, he might as well just leave that company. Because, what's the point? what is the point in him competing for the championship and losing? With Sheamus, I don't think he's ready yet to win that championship because he just hasn't been built right. I mean, he just went off from a feud that's been happening about 100 times against Sheamus. You know, around the Orton and Sheamus, it's happened about 100 times. You know, I've completely lost count of the amount of times they feuded. but Sheamus, he's not ready. And I do like Sheamus. Obviously, I'm Irish. You're from an Irish background as well, Sean. It is. The thing is with Sheamus is that he is not ready yet. I do believe Sting will walk out as champion. So, Sean, we're going to be doing what I do is in these new podcasts, I basically, if I can get my pen here, I actually have a Spotify. It is the General Gerry Spotify. You get to pick 3 songs of your choice, and it will be added on Spotify, on the General Gerry Spotify. So what 3 songs would you like to be added on that playlist?
Now, are you like any song?
Any song you want, any song.
Now, like I'm just trying to get what you're trying to say. So you have an account, like how is this? Like what's going to happen here? Like just try to explain a little.
It's basically Spotify is it's basically a music streaming service. I have my own playlist. There's a total of like 2,000 songs on it. And what happens is every time I do one of these podcasts, someone can ask for a song, and I'll add it on there. And basically, it's basically like Spotify, where you just request a song, and I'll add it on the playlist. And then the fans listening will actually see YWC members and what songs that they like, and they can tune in and they can play it. So that's what it is.
Well, I'm a big fan of. Is it all right if it's all the same band?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, absolutely.
Because I'm a huge Nirvana fan. Kurt Cobain, I love the guy. So we're gonna go like the first one's gonna be by Nirvana. Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
The next one will be Breed, and then On a Plane.
On a Plane. Yeah, that's actually a good song. I'm actually a Nirvana fan myself as well. Okay. All right, I will add them on the General Gerry playlist. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of the podcast. Obviously, this will be available on Seanzviewent Entertainment's channel as well. Usually with Google Plus, it only takes like a few minutes to come up. So, Sean, I'll send you the link, and Sean will then provide it on his channel. So, ladies and gentlemen, from those watching this on the General Gerry channel and Seanzviewent Entertainment's channel, Sean, is there any final words you'd like to say?
Once again, I appreciate, the comments, the views. It's always good conversating with you now that you're no longer under the ETA umbrella. You no longer are shackled and handcuffed and all these other things. So it was nice to have a genuine, real conversation with a real human being. Once again, that's not being watered down, because you were being watered down over there. Finally can be yourself. So it's a good thing. And once again, I just thank you for, having this time. And once again, I hope the subscribers and viewers have enjoyed yet another edition of the Seanzviewent Entertainment and General Gerry podcast right here exclusively on YouTube.com.
And guys, if you are seeing Sean for the very first time, link is in the description below on his channel. Guys, again, Sean, thank you so much for being on here. This is General Gerry and Seanzviewent Entertainment signing out.